Hello friends, I'm back today with another day of Bookmas. Today we are going to be recommending some forced proximity romances. I tried to switch up why it's forced proximity, but some of them you'll see. So first up we have Heartbreaker by Sarah McLean. This is, I think, book 2 in her Hell's Bells series. So this one is about Adelaide. She is part of this Hell's Bells group. She is the one that goes in and kind of helps women out of marriages or engagements that they don't want to be in, or families who don't want them to be in certain relationships. And she is hired by this family whose daughter has run off with, I don't remember his name, but he's the brother to the Duke of Claiborne. And so the Duke and Adelaide go on this road trip thing because the brother and the fiance have run off to Scotland to get married, and so it's a forced proximity because they are on that trip together trying to stop the marriage, but for completely different reasons. Next up, I have Bound by Forever by Samantha Young. This is in her True Immortality series. This one is about, I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm just going to call her Nia and Keo. Nia is part of this fae world that has, they've kind of been banished from their world into the regular world, and Keo is a werewolf. He kind of learns about the fairy and the fae and all that kind of stuff, and I don't remember if he takes it upon himself or if he is, okay, so he says the powerful Finn Moore confides the truth about the existence of fairy and hires Keo to protect one of the Faeborn. And so if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I read this one, but if I remember, she doesn't want to be protected. She doesn't care what happens to her now that her brother's not there anymore. And so it's a lot of him trying to convince her that he's helpful, that he's useful, that he can help her. Next up, I have Reason to Believe by Rebecca Yarros. This is in her Legacy series. I believe this is the only full-length book in the series. So this one is about Harper and Knox. Harper has grown up in this town. They're a very, very big wildfire fighting community, and before the start of the book, all the books, they were devastated by a fire where all the parents, or a lot of the parents, had passed away. And so Harper is the daughter of one of those firefighters, and her brother is kind of the new generation. And Knox is her brother's best friend. They grew up together. He did not take losing his parents very well, and so he left town as soon as he could. But now all of his friends are returning because they're gonna kickstart the firefighting group back up. And so on his way back, he agrees that Harper can use his house for a little bit. She calls him and requests it because there are these 2 little boys that are in her daycare center, whose mother has disappeared, and they're trying to find the dad or a foster family or whatever. And so he agrees that she can use his house to, instead of her little apartment, to take care of the boys. And then there's a little bit of a miscommunication with the CPS worker, and they kind of assume that Harper and Knox are together, and so he goes along with it, and so they're living in his house together, kind of taking care of these 2 little boys. I think this is my last trip one. This one is actually a road trip though. I have Quarter Miles by Devney Perry. This is in her Runaway series, which is about a group of foster teens who all were living together, and now they've grown up, and they're trying to get they're trying to get a car from the East Coast to the West Coast back to its original owner. So this one is about Catherine and Cash. Catherine has been living in Montana with Cash's family, and he's always kind of put her in a sister zone, and she has always really had a crush on him. And so when she decides that the person who brought the car to her to visit fell in love and stayed in the book previously. So she's decided that she will take it the next set of the way, and then she's really going to leave without telling Cash because she doesn't feel like he cares enough that she's going or something like that. But he ends up like at the last minute sneaking into the car and going with her on the road trip. So this one is a road trip romance. This was actually my favorite one in the series, so I highly recommend. Next up, I have One Touch by Lena Hendricks. This is in her Sullivan's series. This one is about Kate and Beckett. Kate used to date Beckett's younger brother, but he broke up with her and broke her heart. So Kate is very weary when Beckett is hired by her brothers, who he's also friends with, to help her fix up the aunt's like farmhouse, and Kate is living there while Beckett is working on it, so it has the forced proximity because they are working on the farmhouse together and she's living there while he's working. Next up is The Brit by Jodi Ellen Malpas. This is the first book in the Unlawful Men series. It is the only one that I've read, and this one does end. It's not really a cliffhanger for the couple, but it is a cliffhanger for like an overarching story. So just a FYI, that is a thing that happens at the end of this one. So this one is about Rose and Danny. Rose is basically kidnapped by Danny because she is seen on the arm of this crooked politician a lot, and Danny is trying to like, I don't remember if he's trying to like figure out why the politician is crooked or if he's trying to turn him crooked for his benefit. But basically he sees that Rose is always like hanging around, is kind of his mistress, and so he kidnaps her and is holding her. So yeah, this one is a forced proximity because he kidnaps her. Next up, I have The Dark King by Gina L. Maxwell. I do not know what the series is called, but this is book one. So this one is about Bren, who mysteriously wins this weekend away in Vegas, and when she goes, she ends up kind of catching the eye of, what's his name? Caden, who is like the owner of the hotel, and then while they are chatting, they both kind of black out, and then they wake up the next morning and they are married. So it was kind of a forced proximity because of the married in Vegas, but then Bryn finds out that Caden is the like king of the Fae in Vegas. Part of their connection is that when a Fae finds its like true mate, they cannot be apart from each other. So after they discover that they're married, she is like, no, I have to go home. Like, we can get this fixed like later. I need to go home. I have like a life. And she flies away and he gets really, really sick. So his people go and like find her and bring her back because he literally cannot be far away from her. So very forced proximity. Next up, I have The Auction by Maggie Cole. This is book one in the Club Indulgence duet. This one is about Blakely and Riggs. Riggs learns that his business partner is like stealing money from him, and is trying to come up with a way to get back at the business partner. But one night he sees Blakely, the business partner's daughter, basically for sale at a sex club auction, and he kind of spur of the moment decides that he's going to bid on her and win her, and then use her to ruin the business partner, because she doesn't really get along with her parents, or I think it's her dad and her stepmom, but she doesn't really get along with them, and so he knows that that will be a good way to get back at the business partner. So it's a forced proximity because they have a contract where she like can't leave him. So next up is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is book one in the Mead Mishaps series. So this is like a cozy fantasy romance where I think our main character's name was Cinnamon, but for the majority of it, she's called Sin. She is on her way home from a big festival that her town does where they send a hero to go and protect their goddess from the demons. And she like hears somebody underneath this rock slide. And so she helps that person out, and then come to find out that person is actually one of the demons. And so he like follows her home because he feels the goddess has like some type of spell over the demons, but near Sin he doesn't feel that. So he like follows her home and tries to like figure out why and everything. And then after some convincing, because she doesn't just believe him over what she's like grown up believing, he like asks her to come along on this trip with him because he is going to try to like defeat the goddess. So this is another one where it's a road trip, but it's also kind of like the Dark King, where he has to be close to Sin in order to get the magic of her presence. I don't know if that's exactly how it was described, but kind of. And in case anybody thought that I was going to get through these recommendation videos without recommending this next book, I brought it in on day 2. So, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I was trying to decide where to put it in my list of recommendation videos that I was going to do. And I was going to do a Hate to Love, but I'm done having that argument that it is a Hate to Love, but I'm done having that argument, and I didn't want any comments about it. So I'm going to put it in a forced proximity. In case anyone doesn't know, this is about Violet, who ends up in the Dragon Riders quadrant of this war college, and there she is kind of thrown into Xaden's path. He is kind of considered a traitor by the kingdom, but there's a whole backstory that's spoilers, so we're gonna go with this for now. It's a forced proximity. They're in the college together. He ends up trying to help her. And then they're even more forced proximity because they bond with these dragons, and their dragons are mates. So I made it to day 2 before I threw Fourth Wing in. So yeah, those are some of my forced proximity romances. What are your favorites? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!